Is Israel trying to gaslight the whole world and the whole country? I'm not sure. AIPAC is a lobbying group in the U.S. that lobbies for Israel. So just let me, our country against the interest of the American people, but the American politicians, both the Republicans and the Democrats, do basically whatever Israel wants them to do, like bombing Iran a few months ago, and Trump included does whatever they want them to do. Now, I think maybe they have some stuff on Trump, but that doesn't explain the whole thing. You know, they give hundreds of $1,000s to like each senator and each congressman. And the funny thing is, Israel is subsidized by us, so we give them billions of dollars, and then they give it back to our politicians to vote for war in their interest, to send them arms and all this other stuff. So let me say that again. We give Israel billions of dollars, and then they give the billions of dollars back to our politicians to vote against the American interest. Okay? Also, as they're going to explain in this video, Charlie Kirk was starting to have an issue with the genocide in Gaza right now, and he was starting to speak out about it, and the Israelis didn't like that. Netanyahu didn't like that. That's why some people are speculating that they might have had something to do with his assassination. I don't know. You know, obviously, nobody really knows except for the people who did it and, you know, that Robinson kid who shot him, or maybe it wasn't even that kid. I don't know, but I don't always agree with Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan on many things, but I'm starting to agree with them on more stuff, especially this Israel stuff and the class warfare stuff, where, the oligarchs in the U.S. are trying to turn us on each other, so we have a civil war with blue states and red states. But really where we should be focusing on is the ultra wealthy and the rest of us. Anyway, let's watch this clip from Breezy Politics. Shout out to them. They've been doing a great job on the internet with some of these videos. I urge you to follow them and watch their videos. I mean, a lot more people watch them than me. But anyway, thanks for watching The Spin Cycle. If you like what you're watching, go ahead and share, like, comment, and let's get started.
30 is against Israel. Charlie was 31. They no longer support Israel. And everybody under 30 is against Israel. Charlie was 31. And so as a friend, he's saying to them, the same way I, as a friend, am saying, I am telling you, you've lost Dems, independents, and you're starting to lose Republicans.
I was shocked and sickened by the reaction of the ghoulish and really repulsive reaction of the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, to Charlie's death. Basically made it all about him and all about his country, immediately trying to take the energy, the sadness, the grief that people felt over Charlie's murder and redirect it towards support for whatever project he's involved in. I don't think I've ever seen anything lower than his attempt to hijack Charlie's memory and use it for his own political ends, particularly because what he said was completely untrue. Charlie did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Charlie Kirk thought that Benjamin Netanyahu is using the United States for genocide in Gaza, which most Americans, not just Americans under 30, because I'm over 50, and plenty of people I know my age, and it goes through all age ranges, are against. The only ones who are still for it are basically old conservatives, like old right-wingers, like Donald Trump, and even Joe Biden. He's a right-winger basically. Anyway, I don't always agree with Joe Rogan, but here's another video more along this line from him and a couple other guys, and let's watch.
This is not what we should be as America. We should be pro-life, pro-peace.
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that, and that's starting to open up.
I think in the
space for
future
debate.
that will be the primary way people look at it. Just the way a lot of people opposed the Vietnam War in the late 60s, but it was, you would get attacked. And I think now people realize like that was the correct response. And I think in the future people will realize the correct response is like, this is not yeah, October 7th was awful. Absolutely.
Obviously.
Terrible attack. But also what they've done to Gaza is fucking insane.
It's insane.
And if you can't see that, if you can't say that, and your response is, Israel has the right to defend itself. Like, what are you talking about? Against what? Children?
Right.
Against women and children that are getting blown apart? Against
I 100% agree with Rogan on that point. It's crazy what they're doing in Gaza. Yeah, I don't know.
aid workers that are getting killed?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, we can't have a rational conversation if you're not willing to address that.
The way in which every demographic has turned against Israel over this shit in Gaza, except essentially boomer Republicans who are still as strong as they've ever been in supporting them. But Israel it's really in many ways like the third rail of American politics. Like, this is the thing you are not allowed to talk about. This is the thing that would get you fired from CNN, would get you kicked out of DC, would get your career ruined. Pat Buchanan made a joke once on the McLaughlin Group, like years ago, like decades ago. He made a joke once where he said something about, he said Congress is Israel-occupied territory or something like that. And he, for the rest of his career, this was the scandal. This was, hit pieces were written about this. Now, the young people are totally outside of that ecosystem, and they're just hearing from different people, and they're like, no, I'm not buying it. And it's, I think it's a mix of a few things. Like, I think it's just that, we have the technology, it's in 4K. You can see what Israel's doing to Gaza. It is so evil that it's damn near impossible to find a way. I mean, some people do, but it is really difficult to find a way to be like, I'm actually okay with that. It's been going on for years at this point. And then the second thing is just that, like, the relationship between the U.S. government and the Israeli government is so freaking bizarre that once you see it, and once a whole generation of young people see it, it's like impossible for them to unsee it. And it's just too
weird.
weird.
In New York City mayoral politics.
Yeah, like it's just, and the idea that it is, the idea that it's just accepted as normal that the politicians for your country must worship this other country. And you're like, so what, did that other country like beat us in a war and they're occupying us now? And you're like, no, you're the superpower. They're your welfare country, but yet you must go kiss their wall. You must say, Tammy Bruce from the State Department. Literally and I know she was kind of being tongue in cheek, but where she goes, we're the greatest country in the world. Well, second greatest to Israel. And you're like, what?
Was she being tongue in cheek?
I don't know exactly. She kind of,
it was a weird thing to say.
That is a weird thing for any representative of your government to say. If anyone sat there and went, I think America is the greatest country in the world. Well, Finland, I guess, is the greatest, and we're number 2. You'd be like, what? I'm like, Finland's a cool country. I got nothing against them, but what are you talking about, Yeah. But really, I do think it's the relationship. It's how horrible what Israel's doing is, and it's how clearly it's not in our national interest. You do kind of have to question the relationship between DC and Tel Aviv and like what is going on here, because this is so utterly bizarre. It's so crazy to see like the American people are against what Israel's doing to Gaza. It obviously hurts it hurts our, as they use in the preamble to the Constitution. I like that phrase, domestic tranquility, right? This is destroying our domestic tranquility. We got protests. We got people fighting over this stuff. We're pissing off the Muslim world again, which we've already had to deal with, them hating our guts. Now
we're deporting students.
We're deporting legal residents because they had the wrong opinion. This is all, and like, it's impossible to not look at this and go like, hey, what's going on here? And they don't have any answer for that. And the other thing, too, is that it's just, I don't know if you've noticed this, but there's a lot of people now trying to jump off of the sinking ship. A lot of people who are even like supporters of Israel who are kind of going like, I think they are going a little too far on this one. And they're trying, because it's just, you see you can see the writing on the wall
Yeah.
all over the place, man. Like you're gonna be looked at. This is gonna be the period, and it's not even like supporting the war in Iraq. It's like much worse than that, dude. Like you're just supporting this destruction of these. They just launched another offensive on Gaza City the other day. They're bombing rubble. Like it's just it's biblical levels of evil. And you know, we're sitting here like even as we're having this conversation now, I know like a few. I remember like coming on the podcast like a couple years ago, and like when this conflict first started, and then when it would go, and it was almost like I was coming on like to be like, look, let me present the argument for why we shouldn't support what Israel's doing here, and let me like try to like present the other side of the debate. I feel now like the debate's over. I don't even think there's like much of a debate to be had. I'll keep doing them if somebody wants to come debate about the issue. But what are we talking about here?
I don't know. What do you think? Go ahead and comment below. Share, like, subscribe. See you next time. Peace.